I don't know if this is gross to admit, but is that weird? I don't know. Yeah, that was smart of me back in the day. In this video, I want to talk about my frugal pantry staples that make staying at around $35 a week in groceries so much easier. So these are the things that work for me as a vegetarian, pescatarian, single girl who lives alone. I'm only cooking for myself. I work from home. So these might not work for everyone, but I'm hoping it will kind of serve as some inspiration to take into your own grocery shopping, and maybe like some of my ethos can be translated into what works for you or for your family or whatever your lifestyle is. So let's get into it. So my number one pantry essential is Greek yogurt. I have always loved Greek yogurt basically since I started frugal living and trying to eat a healthier diet. And I kind of feel like my true love for yogurt just grew when I was living in Istanbul too, because genuinely, like, Turkish people put yogurt on everything. You can't really get Turkish yogurt here, so I do stick with Greek yogurt. They're pretty similar in taste and texture, but Greek yogurt does have way more protein than Turkish yogurt. I remember it became kind of an issue when I would talk about how much I missed Greek yogurt living in Istanbul, because that's a sore spot for Turks. You definitely don't want to talk about yogurt being Greek, but anyways, I digress. I'm just looking at my notes, but yeah, so I put yogurt on genuinely everything. I feel like it can make a meal out of nothing, especially because it's so high in protein. So some of the things that I use it for is, of course, like breakfast in the morning with oats and fruit. I'll have that often. You can put it in smoothies, obviously, and then some of the more maybe like less normal for North American standards things that I use Turkish yogurt or Greek yogurt for is I just put it on pasta. Like if I am lazy and I don't want to make a special meal, I'll just make pasta and then put yogurt on top of that. I'll also just have it with bread sometimes as a snack, or I will use it as a mayo substitute. Right now I actually have mayo in my fridge. I forget what I bought it for, but I'll often just use Greek yogurt in place of mayo and things like tuna if I'm making like a can of tuna. And I also use it as a sour cream replacement. And I find being able to use yogurt in all of these situations is great, because the large tub that I buy is around $6. It used to be $5, now it's $6. But like I said, I'm a single person living alone, so instead of having like all of these different condiments, I guess, like instead of having sour cream, cottage cheese, yogurt, and mayo, it's like easier to just have one tub of yogurt that I use until it's gone, instead of having like the potential for these things to go bad. The next one is nuts. So I always buy nuts in bulk at this store in Montreal called Obu. It's like a restaurant supply store. I'll buy a kilo of cashews or almonds, which is around $20, and that will last me for the entire month. I bring nuts as a snack to my French class, and if I'm like hungry at home and I feel like picking at something, I'll just take a handful of nuts, and I find that having the kilo of nuts in my pantry means that I always have a quick and easy and relatively healthy snack to grab. The next one is eggs. So if you've watched my videos in the past, you might already know I have a very slight egg intolerance, but I can eat eggs when they're hard boiled. So I tend to keep eggs in my fridge because they last for a long time, and I will often make like a batch of hard-boiled eggs that I can have as a snack. I also make marinated eggs from time to time with soy sauce and sesame oil and some other things, and keep them in a jar, and those keep for about a week. And they're such an easy thing to just grab and eat, like when I'm working from home or as a quick lunch or whatever. So I do find eggs, even though for me they're not as versatile, like I can't just make a scrambled egg or, whatever it is that you egg eaters eat. But hard-boiled eggs really work well for me, and I love having that as just an emergency kind of healthy snack in the fridge. They're also pretty cheap, at least here in Canada. I think it's like $4 for 12 eggs. The next one is not as frugal as it could be, but basically any fresh fruit that's on sale. I was experimenting with having frozen fruit for a while, and I do enjoy that. I feel like frozen blueberries are the way to go, but my freezer is not working right now. I actually have my landlord coming to check on it later today. So I stopped buying frozen fruit, and I realized, especially in the summer, I just honestly prefer fresh fruit. I love pretty much all fruit. I can't think of a fruit that I don't enjoy. So basically when I go to the grocery store, I just see what is the cheapest and I buy it. Lately it's been cherries, but I feel like I just got really lucky with, I guess, cherry season and cherries being on sale. I've been eating a ton of cherries. Usually it ends up being berries, like blueberries, raspberries, or strawberries, sometimes peaches. And then I think as the fall and winter comes, I'll probably have to switch to apples. But I just love having fruit in the fridge. Like, I'm really somebody that needs fruit in the morning to feel healthy, digestively speaking. And I love snacking on it in the afternoon too, especially in the summer. Like, sitting in the sun and having a big bowl of fruit is such a luxury, and it's relatively affordable if you're not picky with the fruit and you shop the sales. Okay, the next one is kind of a two-part. So flour for bread. The flatbread recipe that I make basically takes no ingredients. It's like flour, water, and oil, essentially, a little bit of salt. So having flour on hand means that I basically always have the ingredients for a very simple flatbread, which I like to eat in the mornings. And then also, I've recently realized I love banana bread. So instead of having to go out to multiple stores and try to find browned bananas, I just started buying bananas ahead of time, and then once they're at that sweet spot for banana bread, I stick them in my freezer. Obviously right now with my freezer issues, that is not as feasible. I do have 3 bananas in there, but they're probably defrosting as we speak, so I will probably be making banana bread later today. But in general, when I have a freezer that's working, I love having at least 3 overripe bananas so that I can easily just make banana bread whenever the mood strikes me, which has lately been every Sunday, but I digress. Another staple that I love having in my pantry is green tea and herbal tea. I'm still a coffee drinker even on my frugal living journey. I'm having a cup right now. But instead of drinking coffee all throughout the day, which I was guilty of in the past, I switched to green tea in the afternoon, and I have herbal tea before bed. I really enjoy having a warm beverage with me pretty much all the time, and switching to tea has definitely made a difference in my overall drink budget. And I just think it's healthy, especially the herbal tea at night. It just puts me in a calming mood. I used to take melatonin almost every night, and I've pretty much switched from that to just herbal tea. But yeah, it's something that is a pantry must-have for me, and it's not really that expensive either. I usually buy I don't buy fancy teas. I really buy the lower end of the price point, but I don't mind it. It's fine. Okay, the next staple that I always have on hand is kimchi. I absolutely love kimchi. I find that it goes well with so many different things. It's a healthy probiotic, which is always great for gut health. And sometimes I'll have it with my eggs. When I'm making the hard-boiled eggs, I'll have a side of kimchi with it, which is so nice. I also have it this might sound weird, but just with pasta, I'll make a penne or something like that and have kimchi on it with a little bit of hemp hearts. Sometimes I will splurge and have hemp hearts in my pantry, but not always. But I find that penne with hemp hearts and kimchi is good in a way that maybe you wouldn't expect. I mean, it's obviously a pantry meal, but it's still good. And I also sometimes just have kimchi on its own as a snack. Like, I'm somebody that really grazes throughout the day, like just gets distracted by, like, I'm trying to work and I get distracted and I want to have a little break, so I'll like look in my fridge and see what I can graze on. And I find having kimchi is great because I can just take like a little like bowl of it and have it as a snack that is relatively inexpensive and healthy and satisfying. And it also lasts a really long time. When you buy kimchi, I guess, I mean, I buy it from an Asian grocery store by my house and it's locally made. So I don't know if the more like commercial kimchi lasts longer or if this one does, but it lasts. Like, I buy a really large jar. Maybe I'll shoot some B-roll for this in a second, but I buy a really large jar and it lasts me quite a long time. And because it's fermented, I feel like as it lives in the fridge longer, it kind of just gets like more fermented, which is a good thing. Anyway, I hope you can't hear my freezer. It is sounding like a helicopter right now. Okay, the next one is that I always buy intentional condiments. So I know it's so common to have like 50 different condiments in the fridge, but I feel like that is a mistake if you're trying to live frugally, because you can't use all of your condiments. And I know they have a long shelf life, but they definitely don't live forever. So for me, I really just use the condiments that are the most prevalent in my day-to-day culinary life. I like to cook a lot of Asian meals, so a lot of Chinese, Japanese, sometimes Vietnamese meals, or like inspired by those flavors. So right now in my fridge, and most of the time, I have always soy sauce, hoisin sauce, and sriracha. I just find that those flavors are the ones that I'm most comfortable using, so I use them the most. Even on like not Asian inspired meals, I don't know, I prefer those flavors. And I don't keep things that I only use once every now and again in my fridge ever. Like, I don't have ketchup, I don't have mustard. Right now I have mayo because I think I was making like, I forget what I needed mayo for because I usually use Greek yogurt. But anyways, the point is that right now I have mayo. I would like to have Dijon eventually. I really love Dijon mustard, but I don't use it enough right now for it to be worth it. Maybe in the winter when I start cooking more like warm and cozy dishes, I'll get some Dijon, but right now it's not worth it to me to splurge on a jar of Dijon. Also, it's kind of funny, I just remembered, like, I never buy ketchup and mustard because I don't really use them for that much stuff. Like, I still like a veggie burger every now and again, or like fries with ketchup sometimes, and I haven't done it recently because I don't go out to restaurants. But when I started my frugal living journey, I remember like at every restaurant I would steal the little ketchup packages, or like if they came in a takeout bag, I would hoard them in my fridge, and I always had like a little stack of ketchups. Unfortunately, I don't have that anymore because I don't get takeout, but yeah, that was smart of me back in the day. Okay, the next one is the biggest bag of rice that can fit in my fridge. So I get my rice at a grocery store that I already mentioned, Marché Nuan. It's really good. There's like an entire aisle of rice to choose from, and they usually have pretty good deals. I also keep my rice in the fridge. I'm not really sure why I started doing that, but I do. And I don't know if you noticed my fridge in the background. It's quite small compared to the average fridge. It works for me, but I definitely can't have like a 5-kilo bag of rice in my fridge. So I just pick the biggest one that I can that will sit kind of in the back without taking up too much space, and it lasts me a really long time. I eat rice a lot. I feel like it's the base to most of my meals, and having that just like always there, I feel like, yeah, I've only had to buy rice twice since moving to Montreal. Like, I really buy a big bag. Even if I use it almost every day, it lasts a while. But yeah, just always having that means I always have a base to my meal, and I think it's much easier to find something to put on top of the rice than to have to like decide on a base and build it from there. The next one that I always have on hand is beans and chickpeas. I know that dried beans and dried chickpeas are a lot more economical, but I generally prefer having cans, and that's because I don't love being in the kitchen more than I need to. And when I've had dried legumes in the past, I found that just the process of having to rehydrate them, like especially chickpeas, having to put them in water and leave them for so many hours, just doesn't really work with my lifestyle. I do like lentils, especially red lentils, because you don't have to rehydrate them. But I do mostly use beans and chickpeas, so I just buy cans when they're on sale and keep them in my pantry for when the mood strikes. And they're usually like, when they're on sale, they're less than $1 per can, and a can usually gets me like 2 meals, so it's not too bad. Okay, the next one is because I love snacks. I am such a snacker. Having a little treat after dinner is just something that I subscribe to, and I feel like it's really easy to spend a lot of money on like junk food in general, or like purchases at the grocery store that look fun, so you buy them. Instead of doing that or feeling tempted to do that, I just keep popcorn in my pantry. I love popcorn. I don't even use like the kernels. I just buy popcorn bags, the No Name brand at my local grocery store. I think it's like $2.50 for 4 bags, if I remember correctly, which is not bad. And a bag of popcorn usually lasts for 2 like snack times for me. I don't know if this is gross to admit, but I just find that like when you put popcorn in a Ziploc bag or something and leave it for the next day, it's like the time where it gets stale, it's almost like, is that weird? I don't know. I like stale popcorn. That's my frugal living hack of the day. Stale popcorn is satisfying for some reason. I also like to put stuff on it too. I put furikake on it, like the Japanese rice seasoning, and it makes it like salty but also kind of sweet, which is really good. And sometimes if I feel like I'm like open to splurging, I'll also buy M&Ms or Reese's Pieces or any other kind of coated chocolate that I can put into the popcorn so that the interior chocolate melts but the shell doesn't. I don't know. It's good. Highly recommend. Okay, the next one is iced tea powder. I had a lot of comments talking about making sun tea, as in like brewing tea outside in the sun and then having that as iced tea. And I really want to do that. To be honest, I've been lazy and I'm not 100% sold on leaving a glass carafe outside. At the moment, I live downtown in a high-rise and it gets really windy, so I've just been putting off making the sun tea. But in the meantime, I still have like Nestea iced tea powder. It's $5 at the dollar store and it lasts me a really long time. I would say over a month, and I just make it in a little carafe, and then it's like a fun little treat drink that I have in the afternoon or whenever I feel like having a fun little treat drink. The next one is tuna. So tuna in Canada is relatively cheap, especially like since I've been looking into sardines. I found that tuna is just like the cheapest seafood in a tin by far. So I buy it when it's on sale. Usually I can get it for around $1 a tin. And I will eat it like on bread as a tuna sandwich or on rice with some veggies and like mayo or Greek yogurt. I'll eat it on crackers with olives or nuts. Like, I feel like it's pretty versatile and healthy and relatively cheap. So I just like having it in my pantry, and Ollie likes having it in the pantry too. Actually, he likes it when it's out of the pantry and I'm putting it in his bowl, but I digress. And then the last one might sound counterintuitive, but there is a method to my madness. I like having something fun either in the freezer when the freezer is working or in the pantry. So I sometimes buy little junk food-ish meals. So for example, I like having pierogies. I often keep pierogies in my freezer. I like having frozen French fries, like basically things that I can whip up quickly. I also love having ramen, like dried ramen noodles, specifically the Korean one, the what is it called? The bulldog spicy, wait, let me look so that I get it right. Okay, the bulldog spicy carbonara, the pink version of the Korean noodles. It's so good. I swear I could eat it every day, and trust me, I have eaten it multiple days in a row. I've had some tough weeks this year, but I like having that in the pantry. Basically meals that are really, really fast to cook and slightly unhealthy or like indulgent feeling. I'll eat those meals when I'm lazy, or if I have the inkling to order takeout, which I never order takeout, but the inkling still comes sometimes. And I feel like having these like less than ideal kind of junk food quick dinners, it just makes me not want to order takeout. It's easier to tell myself not to. Like, it's basically me telling little me, like, no, we have junk food at home. Like, we don't need to order anything. Yeah, so I like having some little treats like that in my pantry for those emergency, like, low days. Yeah. So yeah, those are my pantry staples. Like I said in the beginning, these are what work for me as somebody who lives alone, who's vegetarian. I realize that they might not work for everyone, but I'm hoping that the like ethos behind some of these items might help inspire you to find multi-purpose pantry items, or opt for something cheaper, or look out for your spending habits and kind of make a backup plan for when, you know, the takeout craving comes in and you're able to kind of squash it with a fun pantry meal. But yeah, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. As always, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.